Hello, you're welcome back. We are still treating bearings. We have a question on the board. A boat says 4 kilometers on a bearing of this, and then 5 kilometers on a bearing of this. We have to find how far the boat has traveled from its starting point, and also we have to calculate the bearing from its starting point. So, as usual, we start by drawing the diagram. So let us start here. On a bearing of 0 to 8. Okay. So let's have this. Remember that since it is 038, it is still within the first quadrant. So we indicate, let's take this to be our P, the starting point. So let's take this to be 038 degrees. And we know that it traveled 4 kilometers. Then at this point, we stopped. We said, and then 5 kilometers on a bearing of 067. So at this point, it stopped and started traveling at 067. Again, here, since it stopped here, you have to draw another 4 cardinal points, and then before you indicate the direction. So maybe let me bring it down. We have this. We have this. 038, 4 kilometers. Then here, we have another. Let's take this to be our 067. So, assuming that this is the okay, now the end points, then we have to join. So this is P, Q, R. Now we have seen the diagram. So we have to find the distance from the starting point. And we're using P to represent this. So we are looking for ER, which is small q. Remember that the side facing capital Q is small q, side facing capital P is small p, and side facing capital R is small r. So here we are going to use cosine rule. Why? Because we know two sides and one angle. Here we can calculate the whole of this angle. And the question is how? Okay. Now, the angle here should be 38 because it's alternate to this. So if this angle is 38, this small one must be 38. Now, this is 67. So remove 67 from 90, you have 23. 23 is here. And then the whole of this is 90. So you add everything. And that means that angle Q should be equal to 38 degrees plus 90 plus 23. You add 90, 38, 23. This is 1. That's 11. Carry 1. This is 10, 13, 15. 151. 151 degrees is angle Q. So moving on, we have Q squared is equal to P squared plus R squared minus 2PR cos Q. And that will give us our P should be 5. That is 5 squared plus our R is 4. Then 2 times 5 times 4 equals 151 degrees. Now, moving on, we have 25 plus 16 minus, this is 10, and this is 40. 40 cos 151 degrees. So, in continuation, we have this, and this will give us 41, 25, 16, this is 1, 3, 4, 41. So that will give us 41 minus 40 times, you check cos 151. And if you check cos 151 from the table of formula table, you have minus 0.8746. Now, remember that this negative here and this minus times minus is plus. So we now have 41 plus 40 times 0.8746. And if you carry out the multiplication, we are going to have this will give us 41 plus, that one should be 34.984. That is, you multiply this by this, you are getting this. So this 41 still continuing, which means that Q squared is this, and this finally gave us 75.984. So the next thing for us to do is to find this. Now, coming back here, we say that Q squared is equal to 75.984. Therefore, Q alone, find the square root of 75.984. And then if you carry out this, that will give us 8.7169, and that is approximately equal to 8.72. Therefore, Q is equal to 8.72 kilometers. That is to two decimal places. So we have calculated the distance from R to P, or from P to R. So the first question, we have done that. That's question A. But question B says, calculate the bearing of the boat from each starting point. The bearing of the boat from each starting point is from the north to this line. That is going clockwise to this. But remember, we don't know this angle. So let us call it theta. Let us call it theta. So we have to continue by calculating this, and also at the end we add it to 38. So let's move on. Now, coming back, we have so in that case, we are going to be using sine rule, because we know that to get theta, we have to take it like this. P over sine P is equal to Q over sine Q. So that will give us our P, small p is 5 over sine theta is equal to our Q now, 8.72 all over sine 151, because that's what we got from the angle. So we'll move on. So coming back, we have 5 sine 151 degrees equal to 8.72 sine theta. And that means that sine theta should be equal to 5 sine 151 all over 8.72. So we are now trying to find the angle before we add. So moving on from here, we divide, and that means before division we have 5 times sine 151. Sine 151 is 0.4848. 0.4848. We are dividing by 8.72. And if you carry out the division, that will give us 2.424 all over 8.7. Again, coming back to this point, so coming back here, we have the division now. We say that sine theta is equal to, that will give us 0.2780. 0.2780. And that means that sine inverse theta, which is equal to sine inverse 0.2780 will give us 16.14. 16.14. But as I said earlier, the bearing from bearing of P, the bearing of R from P. Therefore, the bearing of the boats from the starting point should be equal to 38 degrees plus 16.14 degrees. And that will give us that is 54.14. 54.14 degrees, approximately equal to 54.1 degrees. 54.1 degrees. That is the final answer. So, and that is the end of the question. Please like, share, comment, and subscribe. If there's any question, put it in the comment section so that I will look at it in my next video. Thank you.